Here are my 3 best prop bets for UFC Las Vegas. We'll start off in the heavyweight division with Carl Williams to win by decision over Lucas Dresky. I think Carl Williams, with his takedown heavy approach and grapple heavy approach, will be successful in this matchup with getting Dresky to the ground over and over again. I do expect Dresky to have some early success in this matchup by utilizing his distance and his footwork to try to keep Carl Williams at bay. However, I think it's just a matter of time before Carl Williams is able to crash the pocket, push Dresky up against the cage, and start dragging this fight to the ground. He used to be a light heavyweight, but he has transitioned pretty well to the heavyweight division, being a pretty big guy himself. And I don't think that the striking advantage that Dresky will have in this matchup will be wide enough for Carl Williams to not get off on these takedowns and wear on the gas tank of Dresky. Dresky showcased solid gas and cardio in his last matchup against Martin Buday because it seemed like he was able to fight that fight at his pace, even though he ended up losing that matchup. Martin Buday normally drags his opponents up against the cage and is able to just beat them up with dirty boxing and that dirty clinch work, but he seemed like he abandoned that game plan a little bit too early and luckily was still able to get his hand raised, but I don't think that Williams will settle for a distant striking battle here against Dresky. I think Williams believes in his clinch game enough and is wrestling enough to get this fight to the ground over and over again, where he's going to be able to grind this fight out over 15 minutes and pick up a decision victory. The second best prop bet that I like for this card is Alexander Romanov to win by submission. I believe it is sitting around that plus 250 mark. And I think after watching his matchup with Tom Aspinall, Volkov's matchup with Aspinall that is, I think Romanov will have that confidence to get this fight to the ground relatively quickly and then from there work for a dominant position where he'll be able to pull off a submission victory. Whether it's another straight arm lock, Kimura, Americana type submission like Tom Aspinall was able to pull off, or even a arm triangle choke that Romanov normally likes to pull off. I think we'll see that early dominance from Romanov from that top position, and I think it will result in a submission victory for him within the first 5 minutes of this matchup. And lastly, in the main event, I'm going to take a little bit of a ballsy approach here with Petr Yan to win via knockout, which currently sits around plus 240. I think the reckless crashing of the pocket that Merab does to normally get his takedowns is going to bite him in the ass here. I expected Jose Aldo to capitalize on it, but it seemed like Aldo was a little bit muzzled by the inevitable takedowns that were coming from Merab Dvalishvili. But I think that Petr Yan will be more than accepting of the takedowns that are coming his way, knowing full well that he'll be able to work back to his feet and get back to his striking. I think Yan is the far superior striker here, and I think he has enough power to counter the entries of Merab here, which will allow him to find that chin of Merab and possibly even knock him out. I think the odds are solid here around that plus 240 mark, considering the striking advantage that Yan has here and the 25 minutes in which that he'll be able to find that chin and eventually put him away. I'm expecting Merab to have a little bit of success here, but I think the majority of the damage will be coming from the Yan side, so he'll likely get his hand raised, whether it's by decision or knockout, but I'm going to lean on that knockout a little bit more here, considering how devastating of a striker that Petr Yan can actually end up being. So there you guys go. 3 best prop bets for UFC Las Vegas. Again, to just quickly recap: Carl Williams by decision, Alexander Romanov by submission, and Petr Yan by knockout. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content this week. Make sure you guys check out the Patreon, where I have breakdowns for the PFL Challenger Series, which goes down tonight, as well as LFA 154 best predictions and props for the entire or both of those cards for every single matchup on it. Check it out, link in the description below. Good luck this weekend, folks, and I'll see you guys again next week for UFC 286, which is the trilogy fight between Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. Until then, good luck, and I'll see you guys next week.